What am I going to do after high school? This is a thought that we've all went through. I had no idea what I wanted to do. But it seemed that at 17 years old, you had to have your whole life figured out. That's how one visit to the recruiting station changed my life, and still to this day. Coming from a big family with lots of relatives, I knew that I had to have that answer of what's next in my pocket. And especially to my dad, it was either you worked or you went to school. And I knew I didn't want to go to school, and I knew I didn't want to work at a minimum wage job. So I decided to go to a Navy recruiting station and talk about enlistment and my options. I had no idea what to expect. I had no other family members in the services to even ask for advice, so I really went in there blinded. But thanks to their help, they really broke everything down and gave me the next steps for enlistment. 8 months had passed since that day, and I had already sworn in and was waiting to be shipped out to a 2-month challenging physical and mental boot camp. The day I left to boot camp still plays in my head to this day, and never did I ever think that I was going to leave my family, my friends, and especially fly from San Diego all the way to Illinois. But after completing these 2 months of training, I was off to my technical school to learn about my actual profession, which I had qualified to be an actual operations specialist. I was able to obtain my top secret clearance after school and was off to Norfolk, Virginia, to my assigned duty station, the USS San Antonio. But one of my number one memories from deployment, and still placed in my head till this day, was being in the Middle East and patrolling. And I remember we were going home. We were going back after patrolling the Middle East for about 3 months, and as we're about to go through a Suez, we get a call, tell us we got to go back. We got to go to Afghanistan and send our Marines out there to get these refugees. And it was probably one of the most heartbreaking things, because I had to tell my family, hey, sorry, I'm not going to be home. I have to go do what I basically signed up for. And we actually had to build these refugees from Afghanistan, basically a camp and a campsite for them to live for almost until they could figure out what they were going to do with them. We had to make beds, give them clothes, water, food, anything that they needed, due to the Taliban's taking over all of Afghanistan. But I knew what I signed up for had finally hit me right in the face, and I knew that I was ready. Everything that I learned for since the beginning, all the way to this moment. And honestly, that was probably one of the best experiences that I've ever had, and the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. But once we saved and helped these refugees, it was time to go home. And being welcomed home from my daughter that had been waiting for me for months was probably the best feeling, and made everything so much worth it. I knew that I was never going to leave her ever again, and I knew I was going to be home for good. After my term of services, I was able to become a private contractor and still continue to train the military personnel. I've used my expertise, my knowledge, and the way that I carry myself onto my next career path. And one of my favorite quotes from my captain from that deployment was, be a shark. Because sharks don't sleep, sharks attack and wake up and try to find their next meal of the day. And that's how I wake up, and I try to continue on to my next life.